What is up, everybody, and welcome to another video. First of all, a worm. Look at him. Look at this little freak. You are a freakish man. I'm not going to touch you because you are a freak. Oh goodness, I can't get a good shot of him. Oh gosh, he's too cool. He's too cool for good footage. Oh god, there's an ant. What a cool guy. Yeah, that's right, you can't touch that freak. He's too fuzzy. Anyways, welcome to another video. Sorry that the Will's bug time started at the beginning of the video, but, you know, maybe that's exciting to you. I don't know. I have a bunch of cool stuff to show y'all, but I'm going to be making different videos about kind of each one of these things because I want to talk about each one and why it's cool and interesting, because I think they all are for their own reasons. So, this is my haul from Blade Show. This is all of the stuff that I walked away with, which is a full case worth. I did trade for a lot of this, so it's not like, you know, I bought a bunch of brand new knives, but I did buy one very special new knife, which I will talk about at some point. But for now, the first thing I want to talk about is this. This is the Regime from JK Design. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of make a video about each one of these items and talk a little bit at length about each one, so that y'all can have sort of my opinions and thoughts on different stuff. And, you know, I'm going to make reviews of some of these items, and some of them I won't make full reviews on, and we'll see what happens. But one that I do plan on making a full review of is the Regime. That's right, this bad boy. I haven't made a JK Design review, I think, since I had my original JK Design guy that died. Very sad. Oh well. Yeah, so after the death of my, wow, I have forgotten the name of that knife. That it literally has just exited my brain. That's crazy. The only thing I can think of is the Orca and the Emissary, neither of which is correct, or I cannot believe I can't think of that. That's literally insane to me. Wow. Oh well, I'm just going to ignore it and move on. So, yeah, I haven't made a review since then. It starts with an E. Oh my god, come on. Sorry, I need to move on. I need to move on or my brain's going to get fried. ADHD moment. Anyways, the Regime, okay? The Regime. This is the thing that JK just released at Blade Show, and I managed to get my hands on one in a trade, and I really like this thing. I'm going to be honest. I think JK knocked it out of the park here. So this is a $299 balisong that was made on a Swiss lathe, or maybe just a regular lathe. I don't know the difference. But either way, it was made on a lathe. And what that means is that these handles are made out of like a rod of aluminum that was then milled and held between like two different parts that can clamp and move it back and forth and stuff like that. What that gives us is a economical product that is very well machined, and can be at a pretty good price point because it takes a little bit less work in terms of like having to change a part between a bunch of different like when you're doing regular machining, you have to fixture a part, right? So you need to take that part and attach it to a, you know, plate of steel or aluminum that you have carved out that has holes in it that you drill the part down onto, and then the machine comes and it does its machining like on the face of the part, and it's attached to something on the other side. With a Swiss lathe, or just automated lathe in general, you don't have to do that. It holds the part from either end and then can do all of the machining on all of the sides, you know, just in the machine. So there's less machining time in terms of having to, you know, take it out and change the orientation of the part and then put it back in and all that stuff. And you don't have to worry about fixturing, which fixtures cost a lot of money to create as well. So overall, it's just a cheaper process. However, it's not an easier process. It's actually more complicated because you have to do all the machine programming for getting an entire finished part in one go from your raw material to the finished part. And that's a lot of machining, a lot of detail. Like, it is still quite difficult to actually accomplish that. So it's not something that you can just easily sort of straightforward do, but it is cheaper when you're actually kind of trying to mass produce something. And so the Regime falls really well into that. So this is the 10-year edition that was released at Blade Show 2025, the Regime, and it is a really sick balisong. It feels very nice to flip and is one of the lightest metal balisongs I have played with in a long time. I think JK said something around like 3.4 to 3.7 ounces. I don't remember exactly, and obviously when we do a full review, that'll be sort of part of it, but I really like this thing. As you can see, I am flipping it very competently, and it just kind of listens to me. The only issue with this thing is how light it is, and that's not an issue for performance. So it actually performs fantastically for how light it is. Like, it feels amazing to flip. The problem with this is that it will give you squiddy syndrome just as bad as a regular squiddy, if not worse, because this thing is metal, so it's like a little too close to how a normal balisong feels, but it doesn't weigh enough, so your fingers get used to not pushing very hard to make this metal balisong do metal balisong things, and then you go pick up any heavier balisong, like a normal one, and suddenly you're like, oh, it's heavy, what the heck? Yeah, I haven't had squiddy syndrome in forever, and I flip my squiddies pretty often, actually, especially the Squiddy WH. Like, I'm flipping that thing weirdly often, and when I go back to a metal knife, it doesn't give me squiddy syndrome, I think, because my expectations are that, oh, well, now the metal one is going to be heavier, and so I'm just expecting that. But this thing broke my brain again because it is metal and, you know, squiddy light, while, so when I went back to, like, a normal metal knife, my brain was like, I'm not used to this, what's going on? Pretty funny, but honestly, really, really cool. So, yeah, I like this thing a lot. Also, I hear what may be the sound of thunder in the distance. So that's exciting and terrifying. Hopefully I don't get rained on, but, you know, we're out here vibing in nature. So if we do get rained on, it'll be for the best. It'll be awesome. Anywho, yeah, that's the Regime. I really, really like this thing. The amount of detail on it is really cool, too. So, like, the blade profile, I think, is just freaking awesome. I really like the detail in terms of the lines and the milling on it. I really like the design of the overall knife. Like, I just think that it's very well designed. Also, Julian told me that he's doing all of his own anodizing in-house, and it looks freaking fantastic. Seeing this matte finish red, like this really nice matte finish maroon, is freaking awesome. I love this thing. Yeah, that blade shape is great, and then it just performs fantastically. It feels awesome. The custom hardware is super cool too. So it's got this like little shape at the bottom here, right? That's kind of like a little, like, it's a little nipple or a glass breaker or whatever you want to call it. And then the actual hardware, so you've got, you know, it's all custom made. So you've got the screw top, but then on the bottom, it's got that same shape to the bottom of the hardware. I think that's a really, really cool detail. The only issue I have with this is that, at least from my testing, it seems like the hardware is T9 for some reason, not T8 and not T10, but T9. And I don't know if that's just an issue with measurements and if the hardware came a little undersized and it should actually be T10, and the T10 bit just doesn't quite perfectly fit in there, or if this is intentionally T9 hardware, in which case, Julian, come on, man, please do T10, just T10, please. And if it's supposed to be T10, I couldn't get the T10 bit to fit. So actually, here, we'll test it right now. Just to make sure I'm not lying, because you know, sometimes I be lying. Sometimes I be standing, though, you know, so it really depends. All right, this is a T8, and T8 is way too small. It wiggles a bunch, okay? It's not way too small, but it's too small. Now I have an ant trying to get into my case. You little stinker! That's not for you, buddy. That's not for you. Get out of there. Get out of my case. Let's see here. Here's our T9. That's a T15. This is a T10. So we're gonna take the T10 and we're gonna try the T10 first. Okay. So T10. Put it in there, and you can see this. I'm gonna do a close up. You can see that it doesn't really fit. It only barely, the tip of it just goes in there and then it kind of sits. You can see I can wiggle it like this. It's because it's not actually going fully into the hole. So this would instantly strip that if I tried to use it. Here's the T9 bit. And it goes in there with a little bit of play, but it goes all the way to the bottom. So it's got a little bit of wiggle, but it goes all the way to the bottom and does actually engage with the hardware. So T9 is what works on this. If I try to use my Wera T10 bit, it just won't actually fit down there and engage properly, and so it will absolutely strip the crap out of this thing if I'm not careful, and I don't want that, because I really like this balisong and I don't want to strip it. So anyways, that is my mini thoughts on the Regime. I think it's a great balisong. I think it's a really, really cool offering from JK. I think $299 is a freaking incredible price for how well this thing performs. Like, it flips honestly fantastically and feels really nice. And I think sounds nice, looks nice. Like, it's just got a lot going for it. It's just extremely light and will give you squiddy syndrome if you're not careful. But that's something you can get over just by practicing with it, and then taking a different knife that's a little bit heavier and practicing with it and going back and forth. You'll get used to the feeling of switching over your muscle memory. But anyways, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Bye.